I am a community organizer. I am a minister. I am a father. I am a voice in the community. I started Recap about about 4 years ago now. And started it because of the work that we've done in Boston has been sought after as a way to do public safety, crime reduction to the point where the community comes together.
I think unsuccessful communities draw lines, right? They draw lines where folks don't have equal access to things. A successful community knows how to have those conversations, finds solutions to past imperfections, and really begins to work to implement those solutions.
I was running an organization called the Boston 10-Point Coalition, and that organization had ministers and lay people going out into the streets, working with gangs, working with drug dealers, and then working collaboratively with the city, with its law enforcement components, with its city agencies. It became clear that there were community groups that really wanted to engage at the neighborhood level like that, but didn't have an idea of how to get started or how to go about doing it. And so we started the organization as a way to consult to cities and consult to community agencies in order to help them to reduce violence in their communities.
What can we do to help folks who really do want to move up in their lives? At our best, what we can do is help folks not give up. They've got their dreams, they've got their hopes. So many of them reach and struggle and work so hard to make it happen, and they do. And it could be a little easier.
I do what I do because I love people, and I love the individual that I'm working with, or the family that I'm working with, or the leaders that I'm working with. And I do it because of the love that is within me that I'm able to spread. Looking at Rockford and thinking about what is similar that Rockford is facing to other communities and then what is unique to Rockford's approach, I've found that the struggle that we have in our nation, reducing violence, there is a universal element to all of it. You'll have people who are in communities and they are struggling for whatever reason. Some of the wealthiest cities we have in our country, we have some of the poorest people. Rockford is no exception to that.
I think of how we as Rockford will find success. It will be when we stop relegating those people to certain neighborhoods and we start opening our hearts and minds to who they are.
What's unique about Rockford is the willingness of folks to actually come together, crossing racial lines, for example.
When I was in college, I had grown up in a reasonably diverse suburb of the Seattle, Washington area, and went to a pretty white college, small liberal arts college in a rural area. But I certainly had exposure to ethnic and racial diversity and done lots of academic learning and was well-grounded in the work of anti-racism and liberation. I knew it at an intellectual level. I was visiting what would then be my graduate school in Chicago. I flew into O'Hare and I took the Blue Line to downtown, and the instructions said to take the number 6 Jeffrey Express to Hyde Park. And I found the bus, there was the number 6, and I got on. And it wasn't the express, it was the local. So it stopped all through the south side. And I realized shortly after I got on the bus that I was the only white person on the bus. And I had this experience of, oh my goodness, this is a color. This is a race, not neutral. I never understood myself without being somewhere different, without being in relationship with folks whose lives were different.
When I am in other cities and we're dealing with violence in communities, it's generally those folks who are, come from those communities that are dealing with the plagues of violence. So I'm dealing with Black and Latino pastors, you know. But in Rockford's case, you have your African American ministers that are involved, but you also have white ministers that are involved. And you've got both black and white laity really keen to engage at this level. And I think that's a very interesting feature about this community. Doesn't mean that the community doesn't have problems with race or class, but what it does mean is that there are some folks who are willing to actually cross lines. And when you think about it, what keeps those lines solid is that fear of the unknown, that fear of who that person is and what they're like, the persistent stereotypes that plague our spirit around who that person is. To be able to have the courage to overcome that and come together can be really powerful. And I think some of that is beginning to happen in this city.